they're no longer saying wireless charging is a nice to have. They're saying it's a need to have. Even when we're trying to cut out all the costs, we're going to put wireless charging in. But in this case, they're going to put in Qi BPP 5-watt charging versus their proprietary MagSafe, which has their entire magnetic ecosystem, which has all sorts of different accessories that come with it. All right, so Apple making news again in wireless power. They've launched a new phone, the Apple iPhone SE, and it doesn't have a lot of features that are in their higher end phones. So the chipset's a little bit different, the camera resolution is a little different, and they removed MagSafe. So is Apple getting away from MagSafe? Are they abandoning their baby MagSafe?
No, they're not. But, I think this is really interesting because, no, Apple's not throwing away MagSafe, but what's probably more interesting is for their low-tier phone, they're actually adding wireless power.
Wait. Explain that, because they're not offering MagSafe. So how are they adding wireless power? What do you mean?
Because the wireless power they're adding is baseline Qi. It's the basic power profile, 5-watt charging. So it's what they had in their phones, 3, 4, or 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. But by doing so, it actually shows a commitment to wireless power.
Right.
One of the trends we've seen around the world is that wireless power is a feature that has gone into high-tier products.
Sure, it starts there.
And as most new features go, when you're adding some new technology, it starts on the high tier and migrates lower. This is the first time where it's migrated to the bottom tier.
Sure.
And that is interesting. And no, they didn't add MagSafe, which adds magnets. It's got a new frequency, does higher power. So you're trading something off for the savings in the cost, but you are getting wireless power for the low tier.
Yeah, so we've certainly seen this before where, like you said, the premium phones from any manufacturer have wireless charging or might have fast wireless charging. And then we see as they tier down and they get into like the $500 phones and below, they pull out wireless charging. And they basically in the past would say, well, this is a nice to have, not a need to have, because they try to cut every element of cost out of the device. But now what we're saying is on Apple's lowest tier phone, the iPhone SE, they're no longer saying wireless charging is a nice to have. They're saying it's a need to have. Even when we're trying to cut out all the costs, we're going to put wireless charging in. But in this case, they're going to put in Qi BPP 5-watt charging versus their proprietary MagSafe, which has their entire magnetic ecosystem, which has all sorts of different accessories that come with it. So it's a different perspective, but I think it is showing that, although wireless charging starts at that upper tier, it's becoming more expected from people at almost any price point that consumer electronics should have the option to charge wirelessly.
Yeah, and from their perspective, MagSafe charges at a faster rate. It'll go up to 15 watts.
Sure.
So that's always a differentiator for somebody that's about to make that price point purchase of the low tier, saying, well, maybe I want to do higher.
Yep.
And so that may lead them to spend the extra money to go to the higher tier, but that user still does get wireless charging. So
yeah. Well, so there you have it. iPhone is now wireless charging all the way through. Low tier BPP, high tier MagSafe, and I guess it's a must-have now.
Yep, absolutely.